Welcome to the Vinsmoke Benji channel. My name is Benji, and today we're going to be settling the debate between two of the arguably strongest characters within One Piece, Shanks versus Mihawk. And seriously, I've at least seen this debate at least every single break week during 2022 and even this week. Shout out to Geo. And 2023 doesn't seem like the debate will cease to exist. And I suppose and hope that in this video I'll be able to give an unbiased opinion on my take on the Shanks and Mihawk debate. Who is a fraud and who isn't? I'm just kidding. No one's a fraud. Or are they? Anyways, but of course, before I go ahead and begin, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the Vinsmoke Benji channel. I make weekly One Piece reviews as well as One Piece discussion videos just like this one. And I know I've promised it in the past, but I will be making other anime and manga content on the channel. Just give me a little bit more time. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to the Geek Giant podcast channel as well as join our Geek Giant Discord. If you like this content, I promise you're going to like that content as well. But no more wasting your time, let's go ahead and dive into this extra spicy debate, Shanks versus Mihawk. So I believe the best way to go about this video is kind of display what each character has brought to the table within One Piece. Whether that be feats, betrayal, and I suppose overall contribution to the story. Or at least in some case what they will contribute to the story a little bit later on. And then from there we'll also look at the shortcomings for both of these characters. And if we do it this way, I feel like we can form an opinion on who is stronger in this debate. Cool, right? I think so. So to begin, let's start with Mihawk himself. And if you ask me, Mihawk had a better introduction to the story to One Piece than Shanks when it comes to power and feats. Being able to flex his strength to one of the stronger characters in the series early on, in Zoro. While Shanks, he did get his arm cut off by Sea King, so there's that, But, no slander. And this moment between Zoro and Mihawk early on in the story truly cemented Mihawk to be someone to look forward to, especially for his strength and his prowess. And side note, interestingly enough, I do anticipate that Mihawk and Zoro's battle, when they do have a rematch, is going to be one of the most epic battles in all of manga. And also, I do find it pretty interesting that both Zoro and Mihawk have a couple of commonalities, which again makes their more anticipated battle a little bit later on more sought after. But looking more into Mihawk, who currently holds the title of the world's strongest swordsman, and also having a former epithet once going as the Marine Hunter. And also the significance of Mihawk being the Marine Hunter actually gives hints to him possibly going after admirals in his pastime. Now this obviously isn't confirmed, but if we do look at One Piece Film Z, we do know that Zeref, who may or may not be a canon character, actually had his arm cut off. And it would be very cool if Mihawk was the one to do that. But who knows? But Mihawk has also been one of two characters to achieve the ability to transform his dedicated weapon into a black blade. Something that has only been achieved so far in the series by him and the once known Ryuma, the Sword God. And as of right now, it's an accomplishment that we don't necessarily know how much weight it truly holds, but we can very much anticipate that Oda's going to give it some very great significance in the story a little bit later on. And I also do anticipate that Zoro will be able to do the same accomplishment. And knowing that Mihawk once stated that any weapon can be turned into a black weapon, this is very interesting as well because a lot of the strongest individuals within the series haven't been able to do that themselves, such as Kaido and others. And that's about more or less a lot of the accomplishments that Mihawk has done within the series that we know of. And yes, he did fight Shanks earlier on in his career, but I'll dive into that a little bit later. But moving on, let's talk about the red-haired man himself, Shanks. Now, Shanks is a little bit different, and we have a little bit more information we can use for him. For one, Shanks is the catalyst that sent Luffy on this journey to piracy. And we have seen that Shanks isn't as stoic as Mihawk, but earlier on in the series, when he needs to take things seriously, Shanks will do so. But other than Shanks scaring away a Sea King, it wasn't until Marineford where we truly saw how much of a powerhouse Shanks is capable of. For one, Shanks was shown to have some of the most overwhelming haki that we have seen to that point in the story of One Piece, and knocking out a lot of Whitebeard's crewmen, which I do believe at that point was one of the first displays of Conqueror's haki. And let's be honest, was an absolute flex. And even after that, Shanks was able to clash with Whitebeard himself, known as the strongest man alive, being able to split the heavens themselves and display a feat that's only exclusive, or has only been exclusive, to Yonko level opponents. And then if you add the fact that Shanks was able to squabble with Kaido and then effectively make his legendary arrival into the Marineford War. And to be honest, a lot of Shanks' hype truly comes from Marineford. Even recently, his short appearance in Wano when he was able to make his presence known to Admiral Greenbull. And also, for the sake of this video, I won't be including any of his feats from One Piece Film Red, but I will be including some information that we were given in the 4 Billions manga produced by Oda and is supposedly canon. And Shanks is known as the killer of observation haki. He can kill or control one's own breath and doesn't allow his opponent to use future sight. And not only that, he's also described by the Gorosei, and I quote, "If he was made to go on a rage, he would be too much to handle," by the Gorosei. All of these crazy hype recognitions for Shanks, and he's still a mysterious figure within the story of One Piece. But with all this being said, this is when the two characters actually intersect, because it has been mentioned that Shanks is a swordsman. And it just so happens that the title of World's Strongest Swordsman actually belongs to none other than Mihawk. And this is where the debate mostly comes into play. Does the man with the current feats and the Yonko status win the debate, or does a man with the betrayal of World's Strongest Swordsman wins this debate? So let's start to truly break it down. First off, when was the last time that both Shanks and Mihawk actually clashed? And if we use context clues, we can infer that the clash between the two rivals was no less than 10 years ago in the current One Piece storyline. And even according to Whitebeard, this battle was incredible to say the least. But even today within the One Piece storyline, we don't really have too much to go off of with this battle. But putting 2 and 2 together, the title of World's Strongest Swordsman actually comes with the caveat of you never have losing, or at least ending in a draw. So for this fact alone, we can surmise that Mihawk had probably not lost the battle between Shanks, or at least it was either a draw or he wasn't the World's Strongest Swordsman up to that point. But I think he probably was in the same range. Who knows? And that's up for predictions or speculation. But unfortunately, this is where the debate starts to hit a little bit of a speed bump. That fight in particular was a fight where both Shanks and Mihawk hadn't possibly reached their full potential as of right now within One Piece. Roger, Whitebeard, Oden, Kaido, all characters who have had prime ages that kind of go between 35 years old and 50 years old. And this is excluding Luffy, Sanji, and Zoro, who are just built different and I'm pretty sure are going to get even stronger if we kind of continue on to the end of the series. But we take this into account with the current situation of One Piece, and the debate starts to get very lopsided. And here's why. First off, we do know that the last time Shanks was down to fight Mihawk for a battle, he declined due to Shanks not having both of his arms. Reasonable, I guess, but the first bout that both Mihawk and Shanks had compared to that current time within the One Piece storyline, Shanks has become significantly stronger to that point. It seemed pretty odd for Mihawk to decline Shanks' proposal for battle, but I'll let this one slide. But I think the next element of the debate is a more convincing piece of evidence, and it's from one of the stronger characters within the series, none other than Dark King's Rayleigh. And it's Rayleigh saying this: the more you face off against strong enemies, the stronger you will become. Now for context, this was mentioned when describing haki, which has been a huge part of the current power scaling meta within the One Piece community or whatnot. And if we simply add this fact into the equation, it's very hard not to side with Shanks in this debate. We know that Shanks has had the time to fight some of the strongest characters in the series, even from the little bit we have seen from him. And we also know that there's more to come. Shanks has been recognized by Kaido, the strongest creature alive, Whitebeard, the strongest man alive, and none other than the main antagonist of the series, the Gorosei. And they recognize Shanks for his overwhelming strength and abilities. His character, even though shrouded in so much mystery, still implies that he's one of the strongest characters within One Piece. But when we look at Mihawk, things are a little bit different. First off, Mihawk seems to have left his more ambitious side, I would say, in the past. Seemingly because he's already conquered his goal as the world's strongest swordsman. But from what we have seen, Mihawk doesn't seem to have fought any opponents of recently that will be considered top tier, such as Kaido or Whitebeard. Now, this is as we know of right now. Mihawk could have very well have fought one of the admirals, especially since he did hold the moniker as the Marine Hunter. But within the series, we do know that his last battle was with Whitebeard's number 5, none other than Vista. And mind you, Vista is the number 5 of Whitebeard's crew. And as much as you want to debate it, this was the only battle or particularly feat that we were truly able to see from Mihawk. And if Mihawk is supposedly above the level of Shanks, I believe that a lot of people can agree that he should have easily handled Vista. But Benji, Mihawk wasn't fighting for real. Well, whether or not you think that, Oda hasn't directly come out and stated this. And if anything, Oda actually doubled down on the hype for Vista in the data books as well as the viewer cards. Now, this isn't a knock to Vista whatsoever. It could very well be the case that he wasn't necessarily fighting for real. But within One Piece story, the threat of Shanks fighting creates a huge problem for any opposition, yet the same effect hasn't been seen in Mihawk. Now, you may be wondering, Benji, what about this panel right here? This overshadows everything that Shanks has done. This panel in particular has been spammed to me on every single debate that I've had on this topic, but it simply just isn't enough. And for context, the fact that this character who is saying this isn't someone of great value. And mind you, the Marines have recognized Buggy as Yonko level. No jabs to Buggy, he is that guy though. But this statement didn't come from the likes of Blackbeard, Big Mom, or Kaido, or any of the top tiers that we know of. And also the wording of sword skills as opposed to the flat out saying that Mihawk is stronger allows for nuance and a lot of wiggle room for this debate topic. And this is coming from both the English and the Japanese translations. But one thing that I've learned from having this debate topic multiple times on Twitter is that the results come down to one of two things. It's either this panel right here makes it definitive that Mihawk is over Shanks, and nothing that Shanks does or whoever he fights will ever change this fact until Oda says otherwise. Or, if you know Oda, who loves nuance and ambiguity, those numerous moments of Shanks being the man that people fear to face, and even recognized by the strongest character that we've seen in One Piece so far, Kaido, Shanks ends up being on top for you. Now, of course, I truly believe that Mihawk is very close to Shanks in strength, and I don't think that the differential between the two is that much of a gap. Oda has actually made this running gag of height differentials in One Piece, especially for rivals. For example, Zoro being taller than Sanji. And also King being taller than Queen. They're not necessarily rivals, but they're also comparable. But this same logic applies to Shanks and Mihawk, where Shanks is a little bit taller than Mihawk. But the point is, the debate has some back and forth on who you think would win. But for me personally, and let me clarify, me personally, Shanks has much more of a presence to make him stronger than Mihawk currently in the One Piece storyline. And if you want to look at the root of this debate, it usually comes from Zoro fans hyping up Mihawk in certain aspects. But I understand it. It kind of makes sense in a lot of ways. I do think that Mihawk is very strong. I just don't think he's as strong as Shanks. And next up, we'll probably have a Zoro versus Sanji debate as well. But you do gotta love some of the Zoro fans as well as some of the Sanji fans. I'll admit, go head to head. One of the greatest rivalries in anime. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you guys think about what I stated in this video, whether I'm wrong or whether I'm right. I would love to have all you guys' opinions, and if I'm wrong, then please go ahead and call me out. I don't mind. Don't be toxic though, but I do love the discussion. Anyways, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the Vinsmoke Benji channel. I really appreciate you tuning in to the entirety of this video. And I will say this, I do appreciate each and every one of you who comments. It's really nice to see nice comments on the video, especially since these videos take a lot of work. But I really do appreciate it. Anyways, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.